It just reminded me in 2005, many of the senior devotees of Pune went to do TTC in Mayapur. And the teacher was His Grace Rasmandal Prabhu. I don't know how many of you know him. Srila Prabhupada's disciple. Mm. He's the one who actually began the teaching of the teacher training courses within ISKCON. He's from the UK. So, so he had a policy. The policy was that if any student is not able to come to the class at the scheduled time, then he had to send a message through another devotee coming to the class. And then before the class would begin, he would read out that message saying that such and such devotee would be coming late to the class for such and such a reason. That was the standard. So why I'm saying this is because we're coming to the 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the end, practically the end of the Bhakti Shastri course. And we have been saying this point repeatedly in our classes, that our Shastric study is not simply a theoretical exercise. It's not simply academic study. It is meant for practical application. Yesterday we were talking about the austerity of the body. What is that? What is that? Huh? Deva, Dvija, Guru, Pragya, Pujanam. Respect. Yesterday, for the Brahmachari class, His Grace Godakesh Prabhu came on time. I was there about 2-3 minutes before time. And there were 4-5 PDC devotees were sitting. So Godakesh Prabhu came inside. 3 o'clock, na class? And he began. So what is very surprising is that this has become the culture. It's very unfortunate. Very unfortunate. When we were, I mean, this is, I'm just saying facts. Facts are facts. This was unheard of when we were young. This was unheard of. We would never even imagine coming to class, whether it is Bhagavatam class, Brahmachari class, any class. We would not even imagine coming a few seconds late. Forget about minutes. Even a few seconds late, we would not imagine. It all depends on what is the culture that we are setting. And that becomes the norm. You know what is culture? You know a broad understanding of culture? What is the understanding of a culture? A general understanding of what is culture. How cultures, we talk about Indian culture, American culture, European culture. How does a culture set in? Yes, bro. You have the mic.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. So Right. So what I heard that regular habits become our behavior, and prolonged term of behavior becomes a uh, culture of that, not only one person, of that whole society and everyone.
Correct.
That is deep rooted behavior means.
Correct. Same thing done repeatedly in a particular section of society becomes culture. Correct. To give a mundane example, when we were children, having toilet and bathroom together was unheard of. It was unheard of. They were always separate. But now, if they're separate, somebody may think it's inconvenience. Why? That has become the culture. That's how cultures set in. Somebody brings about a change. When those changes are done repeatedly, that becomes culture. So that is how culture set in. So a certain section of the people start a culture, then the younger generation, next generation, what will they do? They will follow, obviously. Correct? Yad yad acharati shreshtas. So if people see seniors are coming late, what will the juniors do? You can't expect something different, right? You can't expect. They will follow. That's obvious. And that is how cultures set in. And once a culture becomes deep rooted, it's practically impossible to change it. Practically impossible to change it. Either it may be a good culture or a bad culture. Whatever cultures we begin, and that becomes deep rooted, then to change it becomes very difficult, individually and collectively. Even on an individual platform, if just like yesterday we were in one of our discussions, we were talking about telling lies, and how Prabhupada is saying telling lies has become a habit. How habits set in? Suppose I tell a lie today. Today I get some chastisement for telling a lie. So I feel bad. Tomorrow I tell a lie, nobody chastises me. Then what will happen? I don't feel so bad, correct? Then third time I tell a lie, then what will happen? The guilt feeling reduces further. The fourth time I tell a lie, then chalta hai. The fifth time I tell a lie, this is perfect. Telling lie is perfect. That is what happens. The more we overlook the conscience, which is the word of the Paramatma, the more one goes into performing the wrong activities, ignoring the voice of the Paramatma. And that is how one gradually glides down. That is how things happen. So, ultimately, it depends on us. Whether we want to progress, whether we want to degrade, it all depends on us. What cultures we want to set in, it all depends on us. So, 1-2 people cannot make a big difference, right? We can speak, but 1-2 people can't make a big difference. If majority follow a certain culture, a wrong culture, then that becomes the norm. As simple as that. People think that's the right thing to do. But please note, this goes against the very principle of discipline, which is vital for our spiritual progress. We all know that famous statement which Srila Prabhupada has written in Narad Muni's section in the first canto of the Bhagavatam. 3 factors for spiritual progress. What are they? unless one is self-controlled, disciplined, and fully obedient. No one can be successful in following the instructions of the spiritual master, and without doing so, no one can go back home, back to God. So I'm sure practically every one of us here know that statement. And maybe we have given lectures also on that. But where is the practical application? So, it depends on us. Otherwise, Bhagavad Gita is over, Bhakti Shastri is over, everything is over. But what is the change that we have brought about? So, these are things to ponder about. And every individual, as Srila Prabhupada also quoted Mahatma Gandhi, be the change you want to see in the world. So if every individual thinks, no, somebody else should change, then I will change, then what will happen? Nobody will change. Because each one is waiting for somebody else to change. Then nobody changes. But if each one thinks, who needs to change? Who needs to change? I. When each one thinks, I need to change, then what will happen? Then what will happen? Then everyone will change. Right. So, initially here at BVRV, we started so many systems of attendance. Policies, you come 15 minutes late, it will be marked absent, this, that, some fingerprint machine was there, so many things were there. Nothing works and nothing will work because it all depends on what? The individual's determination to make a change. If that individual's determination is not there, no amount of policies, rules, regulations, nothing will help. And that is what Krishna has said in the 3rd chapter, 33rd verse of the Bhagavad Gita. You remember that? 3rd chapter, 33rd verse. So open and read the translation.
Even a man of knowledge acts according to his own nature, for everyone follow the nature he has acquired from the 3 modes. What can repression accomplish?
Swabhava. Everyone acts according to his swabhava. How does one get swabhava? Yes, but the influence of 3 modes, that is swabhava. We have just day before yesterday, we were discussing in the beginning of the 17th chapter, also Krishna says about swabhava. And there is only one way the swabhava can change. There Krishna is saying, what can repression accomplish? Repression means what? You tell people, array, you don't do this, you'll be punished, you'll do this, you'll go to hell, this, that. Nothing will work. Nothing will work. That's what Krishna is saying. Because the swabhava is so deep-rooted, nothing will work. But we read 17th chapter, 2nd verse purport. Prabhupada has written, what is the only way the swabhava can change? Right. To be precise, yes. But this nature can be changed if one associates with a bona fide spiritual master and abides by his rules and scriptures. That is the only way it can change. There is no other way. So if we are, that's what we're discussing. So we have to think, will my actions please Guru and Krishna? I have to ask myself this question. So it is a well-known fact that the proper etiquettes of a classroom, and that will reflect everywhere. You can see that. It will reflect everywhere. And so we had these Srila Prabhupada's disciples at that time maintaining those high standards. And because Srila Prabhupada and Srila Prabhupada's disciples were like that, so that's why the movement has spread so far. You can see even today the standard of Prabhupada's disciples. You can see right in front of your eyes. There was the Surabhi Mataji, you can see Bhaktarup Prabhu. What is their standard? You can see even today, at this age, they're in their 70s. You can see the standard. Every day you can see that. Present on time for the Manglarti, for the Darshanarti, for everything, you can see that. These living examples are there today. Tomorrow they won't be there. And in spite of those living examples being present, if we are not ready to take advantage and follow, then what are we learning? What is the Shastric learning meant for? Right. So, these are all some important points to ponder about. This is what Bali Maharaj says. I have given a promise that I'll give these 3 steps of land. How can I go back on my promise? I can't go back. That's the meaning of integrity. When we agree to do something, we cannot go back on our word. So now you may think that, oh, what is this? This is only an ordinary daily class. What's the big deal? But again, the same point. What will happen? Habit. Then the same habit creeps in. Today we will take this class cheaply. Tomorrow we will take initiation vows also very cheaply. That is what happens. And that is what we find. Then tomorrow makes no difference. Because there's no integrity. There's no value to what I have promised. So today this is cheap. Tomorrow that will be cheap. Who cares? And that will become what? Culture. And that's how spiritual organizations, huge spiritual organizations, degrade, ultimately become dismantled, and ultimately they'll vanish. This is history. We are not speaking something vague. This is history. Therefore, maintaining the standards of spiritual organization is something so vital, which Srila Prabhupada emphasized again and again. And most people don't speak these things. We know that. Because most people think that spirituality is all about having a good time. Correct? And so if we can somehow entertain people's mind and intelligence and become popular, then that's good. And who cares about training and educating and telling people what is right and what is wrong? But that's not what Shastra is meant for. That is not what gurus and sadhus are meant for. Simply to flatter people and make them feel good. That was never the standard which Srila Prabhupada and the Acharyas have set. So, if there is a genuine concern, a genuine reason, then we need to express that. But when we have given a word and we have agreed to follow something, we need to be serious about it. Otherwise, the study of the Bhagavad Gita will simply remain just another academic exercise. That's all. And the Bhakti Shastri is over. We got a certificate and things are going on. But then, if we just contemplate on that one sentence which Srila Prabhupada has written, those three qualities, if we just try to imbibe those three qualities within our life will become perfect. But we are reading so many things every day. So, this is my request. That's all what we can do. Because we have seen another culture here at ISKCON Pune. A totally different culture. And we're seeing a totally different culture now. And in fact, other temples have learnt from Pune and they are getting better. That's reality. One senior Prabhupada disciple commented, don't be happy that there's wonderful preaching going on in India now, and there's not much preaching going on in the West. The things could just turn over if one is not careful. And that's a fact. So if we don't set the right mood, the right example, the right standards, what do we expect the new generation who are coming, what do we expect from them? The same thing, nothing else. And that's what will continue. And it may not continue for too long. Everything will collapse. Okay, so we are speaking after not only in this class, but in so many other classes happening here at BBRV, and so many other classes that are happening. The same culture is everywhere. And it's not very surprising, because that's how it percolates the entire community. One culture. Mhm. That becomes the standard. Then who can do anything? That culture becomes so deep rooted. And nobody cares. One does not care for another's words. One does not care for even one's own words. Everything becomes so cheap. Mhm. And of course, some of you may say, oh, this is fanatic. This person is fanatic. Some of you may go and complain also. ये टीचर बहुत सुनाता है क्लास में. हाँ, ठीक है. We don't mind. We are simply repeating Srila Prabhupada's words. We are confident about that. Okay, fine. Chapter 18. Conclusion, the perfection of renunciation. Okay, so this is a conclusion, and we find the Lord is revising many of the topics that he has spoken in the previous chapters and adding a few things. So as we can see, many of these topics which have already been covered, the Lord is revising. Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, controlled by the three modes. So then 41 to 48, how prescribed duties become Karma Yoga. Then 49 to 55, Jnana Yoga leading to the Brahmabhuta platform. '56 to 60, working in pure devotional service. '61 to '63, surrender to the super soul. '64 to '66, become a pure devotee of Krishna. '67 to '71, preaching and studying the Bhagavad Gita. '70 to '73, Arjuna is firmly fixed, and Sanjay's predictions. Okay, so let's begin the first 12 verses. Arjuna uvacha sannyasasya mahabaho tattvam ichchami veditum tyagasya cha rishikesha pritakkeshi nishudana. Arjuna said, O mighty armed one, I wish to understand the purpose of renunciation, tyaga, and of the renounced order of life, sannyas, O killer of the Keshi demon, master of the senses. So here, Arjuna is specifically asking, what is the difference between sannyas and tyag? What is the difference between sannyasasya mahabaho, tyagasya cha rishikesha? She's asking, what is the difference between sannyas and tyag? Srila Prabhupada begins his purport by saying, actually, the Bhagavad Gita is finished in 17 chapters. The 18th chapter is a supplementary summarization of the topics discussed before. In every chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna stresses that devotional service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the ultimate goal of life. The same point is summarized in the 18th chapter as the most confidential path of knowledge. And then Srila Prabhupada is sort of summarizing the various chapters of the Gita. And in the second last paragraph, he says, as in the second chapter, a synopsis of the whole subject matter was described. In the 18th chapter also, the summary of all instructions is given. The purpose of life is indicated to be renunciation and attainment of the transcendental position above the three material modes of nature. Arjuna wants to clarify the two distinct subject matters of Bhagavad Gita, namely renunciation, tyaga, and the renounced order of life, sannyas. Thus, he's asking the meaning of these two words. Two words used in this verse to address the Supreme Lord, Rishikesh and Keshinashudana, are significant. Rishikesh is Krishna, the master of all senses, who can always help us attain mental serenity. Arjuna requests him to summarize everything in such a way that he can remain equipoised. Yet he has some doubts, and doubts are always compared to demons. He therefore addresses Krishna as Keshinashudana. Keshi was a most formidable demon who was killed by the Lord. Now Arjuna is expecting Krishna to kill the demon of doubt. Okay, let's read this. Please read this commentary of Vishwanath.
Chapter. The 18th chapter speaks of the three types of sannyas, jnana and karma. Defines liberation and indicates bhakti as the highest secret of all. You stated in the previous chapter, uttering the word tat without seeking results, sacrifices, austerities, and charities are performed by those with a desire for liberation from the atat material world. Those with a desire for liberation are sannyasis. But there seems to be others who are detached from all the results of their work, as mentioned by you, when you said, Sarva karma phala tyagam tata kuru yatat mavan. Give up all the result of your work with great attention. What is the tyaga of these others? Wanting to know the distinction, Arjuna asks a question in this verse.
Okay, so this is the connection. So one connection is the previous chapter. The previous chapter ended with Om Tat Sat. So here Tat indicates getting out of the temporary material world, liberation. So sacrifices, austerities, charities are performed with a desire for liberation. And who desires liberation? Sannyasis. So that is the reference for sannyasis. And then the reference for tyaga is 12.11. Sarva karma phala tyagam. So there the word tyaga is coming. And therefore Arjuna is asking the distinction between sannyas and tyag. So that is how the previous chapters and this chapter are connected. And that's the reason why Arjuna is asking these questions. Continue, please.
If the words sannyas and tyag have different meanings, I desire to know the distinct essence of these two. But if they mean the same thing, any opinion or other's opinion, I desire to know what is the one meaning as well. O controller of the senses, Rishikesha, you have made this doubt arise in me since you are the instigator of my intelligence. O killer of Keshinashudana, you will kill this doubt of mine just as you killed Keshi. O mighty arm one, Mahabhao, you have great strength in your arms and I have insignificant strength in my arms. You have become friendly with an expansion such as me, rather than with your expansions with vast knowledge. Therefore, I am not afraid to ask this question since you have become somewhat friendly with me.
Okay, so we already read that. He's addressing Krishna as Keshinashudana and Rishikesh. So why is addressing as Rishikesh? You have made this doubt arise in me since you are the instigator of my intelligence. So Arjuna is saying that you only made this doubt arise in me because you are only controlling my intelligence. You're Rishikesh, you're controlling my mind, you're controlling my senses. You only have caused this doubt to arise. So therefore, now you only answer this doubt. You only give the answer to this question. So that is why is addressing. And Keshinashudana is the killer of the demon. So killer of the demon of doubt. Okay. Now Krishna begins to answer. Second verse. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Kamyanam Karmanam Nyasam Sanyasam Kavayo Viduhu Sarva Karma Phalatyagam Prahustyagam Vichakshanaha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, the giving up of activities that are based on material desire is what great learned men call the renounced order of life, sannyas. And giving up the results of all activities is what the wise call renunciation. So initially, here Krishna is presenting the opinion of Vichakshanaha. He is not presenting his own opinion. He is presenting the opinion of other learned personalities. And we find Krishna does that in various places of the Bhagavad Gita. Why does he do that? Yes. So to establish the principle of Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. We also saw the same thing where? Yes, in the 13th chapter also we saw, 13th chapter, 5th verse. 11th chapter where? Yes, 11th chapter also. No, I think so. Somewhere it comes. Anyways, so Krishna does this at some few places where he refers to other authorities. And so here also he is not giving his own opinion first. First he is giving the opinion of other learned personalities. And he's saying the definition of sannyas and tyag as given by Vichakshanaha, the experienced people, is Kamyanam karmanam nyasam sannyasam kavayo vidu. He has used both kavaya and vichakshana. Kavaya is learned, vichakshana is experienced. So kamyanam karmanam nyasam. Kamyanam karma means activities with desire for the purpose of kama. So giving up kamya karma is what is called as sannyas. Kamyanam karmanam nyasam sannyasam. So that is called as sannyas. And what is tyagam? Sarva karma phala tyagam. Giving up the fruits of the activities is what is called as tyag. Okay, read this.
Taking up the former idea first, the Lord explains the different derivations of the two words. To renounce nyas at the very root activities performed for fulfilling personal desires, kamyanam karmanam, is called sannyas. Personal desires are indicated in such statements as the following. Putra kamo yajeta, swarga kamo yajeta. One with a desire for a son should worship, one with a desire for swarga should worship. Apastamba Shrota Shutra. This does not mean that one should reject daily obligatory activities, Nitya Karma, such as Sandhya worship. Nitya Karmas are activities ordered by the scriptures as obligatory for certain persons. Kamya Karmas are activities described in the scriptures for persons having certain desires, such as desire for wealth or sons. These are not obligatory for anyone, but are performed according to personal desire.
Okay, so there are these three types of activities that are described. There are kamya karma, nitya karma, and naimittik karmas. So kamya karmas are karmas, activities for some personal benefit or personal sense gratificatory desires. So just like he's giving an example of desire for son, desire to go to swarga. So these are called kamya karmas. So there is a desire for some personal benefit or personal sense gratification. And there are nitya karmas which are to be performed daily, nitya, such as sandhya worship, we chant the holy names every day. So all these are nitya karmas. They're obligatory. And also there are naimittik karmas. Naimittik karmas means those which are performed at regular intervals. Yes, Shraddha is one example of naimittik karma. Or observance of Ekadashi once in 15 days. So these are naimittik karmas. So here what he's saying, sannyas is what? Sannyas is only giving up kamya karmas, not nitya karmas and naimittik karmas. Only giving up kamya karma is what is basically called as sannyas. Okay, please continue.
Tyaga means that one should give up the result of all activities.
ठीक है, ठीक.
In performance of action with personal desire, kamya karma, or in performance of obligatory action, nitya karma. Rather than to give up those activities completely. For the Shruti is also promise results even for the obligatory action, nitya karma. Karmana pitra loka. By the obligatory action, one goes to pitra lok. Brihad Aranyaka Upanishad 1.5 Dharmena Papam Apanudati. By following Dharma, one eradicates sin. Mahanarayana Upanishad 15.7. Therefore, in Tyaga, one should perform all Kamya karmas and Nitya karmas without seeking results. Whereas in Sannyas, one performs only obligatory duties, Nitya karma, without the desire for results, and completely rejects rituals for personal gratification, Kamya karma. This is the distinction of two words, sannyas and tyaga.
Okay, so in Tyaga, one performs the karmas, but one is detached from the results. Okay, so that is basically what is Tyaga. So one performs the activities, but one is detached from the results. And what is sannyas? Sannyas is totally giving up the kamya karmas, and only performing the nitya karmas. So that's how this tyaga and sannyas have been defined by some learned people, as Krishna is saying. So he's not giving his own definition. At this point, he's giving the definition as per other learned personalities. Third verse.
Guruji, like this in sannyas, one gives up this kamya karma. So does he expect result from nitya karma or this naimatik karma?
No. So, so because you're talking about a sannyasi, right? Yeah, so sannyas means he's given up the fruitive mentality. So he does not perform kamya karmas, and in nitya karmas and naimitya karmas also he's not expecting any results, because the kam vasana itself is given up, desire to enjoy. But he does not give up the nitya and naimitya karmas. He performs them, but again, without desire for the results. See, as it said over here, whereas in sannyas, one performs only obligatory duties, nitya karma, without the desire for results. Correct? And completely rejects kamya karmas. Okay, so this is, Krishna is giving definition which some other learned people have said. So let us come to what is Krishna's definition. Okay, third verse. त्याज्यं दोषवद् इत्येके कर्म प्राहुर्मनीषिणः यज्ञदान तप कर्म न त्याज्यम iti chapare. Now again here also, what he says, manishinaha, some other learned people. Again he's quoting some other learned people. What they say? Tyajam doshavad iti eke karma prahur manishina. So some learned people say that karma itself should be given up. Why? Doshavad. Because karma is always filled with dosha, is always filled with faults. So better to give up the karma itself. That is, some people say that. Whereas others, what they say? Yajna dana tapa karma na tyajam. Whereas some say that yajna dana tapa should never be given up. Should never be given up. That is what some others say. Apare. Some others say that. So these are two classes of philosophers. Who are they? So those who say that karma should be totally given up because it is faulty. Who are they? Yes, the Gyanis. So the Gyanis, they say all types of karma is binding. Any type of karma will lead to bandhan. And so therefore give up all types of karma. So that is the Gyanis. And the second type of philosophers are the Mimamsakas. who follow the philosophy of karma mimamsa. So they say, no, 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 you can't give up all types of karma. Karma is needed. And especially yajna, dana, tapa, karma, na tyajam. So these are two types of philosophers which Krishna is quoting. And Srila Prabhupada gives the example of animal sacrifice. So a karma kanda, animal sacrifice may lead to bondage because it is sinful. And so therefore, all types of karma should be given up. So therefore, Prabhupada says, but there are different opinions among the sages. Some say that animal killing should always be avoided. And others say that for a specific sacrifice, it is good. All these different opinions on sacrificial activity are now being clarified by the Lord himself. So first of all, Krishna has presented some other opinions. Okay. Now he says, Nishchayam shrinu me tatra tyage bharata sattama त्यागो ही पुरुषो व्याघ्र त्रिविधा संप्रकीर्तितः. O best of the Bharatas, now hear my judgment about renunciation. O tiger among men, renunciation is declared in the scriptures to be of three kinds. So now Krishna is speaking his judgment. As Prabhupada says, although there are differences of opinion about renunciation, here the Supreme Personality of Godhead Sri Krishna gives his judgment which should be taken as final. Final judgment is given by the final authority, that is Krishna. After all, the Vedas are different laws given by the Lord. Here the Lord is personally present and his word should be taken as final. The Lord says that the process of renunciation should be considered in terms of the modes of material nature in which they are performed. Now, first of all, he is, before coming to this renunciation in three modes, first of all, he is clarifying about yajna dana tapa. Yajna dana tapa karma na tyajam karyameva tat yajna danam tapaschaiva pavanani manishinam. Acts of sacrifice, charity, and penance are not to be given up. They must be performed. Indeed, sacrifice, charity, and penance purify even the great souls. So here, Krishna is saying, yes, yajna, dana, tapa, karma should never be given up by anyone. Everyone needs to perform. Why? Pavanani manishinam. Because this yajna, dana, and tapa purify even the great souls. So therefore, everyone needs to perform. Nobody can give up. Yajna, dana, tapa. Everyone performs. Everyone needs to perform. Nobody can say, I will not perform any type of yajna. No, not possible, right? Because what's the purpose of human life? Purpose of human life is to perform yajna, to perform tapasya. This is purpose of human life. Tapo divyam putraka yena sattvam shuddhyet yasmat. So this is purpose of human life, to perform yajna, tapa. So therefore no one can give them up. So everyone has to perform. And Srila Prabhupada is especially talking about the Vivaha Yajna. So Prabhupada is asking a question. Should a sannyasi who's in the renounced order of life and who has given up his family relations encourage the marriage ceremony? The Lord says here that any sacrifice which is meant for human welfare should never be given up. Vivaha Yajna, the marriage ceremony, is meant to regulate the human mind so that it may become peaceful for spiritual advancement. For most men, this Vivaha Yajna should be encouraged, even by persons of the renounced order of life. Sannyasis should never associate with women, but that does not mean that one who is in the lower stages of life, a young man, should not accept a wife in the marriage ceremony. And of course, Srila Prabhupada himself performed the Vivaha Yajna as a very exceptional case, because at that time there was no one else to do it. So Srila Prabhupada himself did it. And thus he encouraged, rather than having illicit relation, then Srila Prabhupada said, no, you get married. And that's how he himself performed the yajna. Therefore, in the lower stages, they should not be given up. Similarly, charity is also for the purification of the heart. If charity is given to suitable persons, as described previously, it leads one to advanced spiritual life. Now, next he says, एतान्यपि तु कर्माणि सङ्गं त्यक्त्वा फलानि च कर्तव्यानिति मे पार्थ निश्चितं मतमुत्तमम्. All these activities should be performed without attachment or any expectation of result. They should be performed as a matter of duty, O son of Pritha. That is my final opinion. Okay, read the purport.
Although all sacrifices are purifying, one should not expect any result by such performances. In other words, all sacrifices which are meant for material advancement in life should be given up. But sacrifices that purify one's existence and elevate one to the spiritual plane should not be stopped. Everything that leads to Krishna consciousness must be encouraged. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, also it is said that any activity which leads to devotional service to the Lord should be accepted. That is the highest criteria of religion. A devotee of Lord should accept any kind of work, sacrifice or charity which will help him in the discharge of devotional service to the Lord.
Okay. So now, yajna, dana, tapa need to be performed. But how? Sangam tyaktva falani. Yes, they need to be performed, but without attachment to the fruits. So he's saying, kartavyani. Kartavyani means what? Should be done. Ye mera kartavya hai. Kartavya. Kartavya means what? Duty. Duty. This is my kartavya. Therefore, I will perform them. But not with attachment to the results. Sangam tyaktva falani. They should perform simply as a matter of duty. Nishitam matam uttamam. So Krishna is saying, this is my mat. This is my opinion. Nishitam, definite opinion. This is my definite opinion. But Krishna's opinion is uttamam, the best. Correct? There cannot be a better opinion than that. So you can see that how this is one theme which Krishna has repeated throughout the Gita. Right from the 2nd chapter, now in the 18th chapter. Performance of duty without attachment to the fruits. 2nd chapter, which was? Yes. Karmanyevadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phalahetu mate sangastu karmani. Again in 3rd chapter, what he said? 330. What is 330? Mai sarvani karmani sanyasyadhyatma chetasa nirashi nirmamo bhutva yudhyasva vigatajvara. Same thing. Simply perform the activities for me in a spirit of sanyasyadhyatma, in a spirit of renunciation. Simply perform the activities as a matter of duty without attachment to the fruits. Nirashir, nirmama, without a sense of proprietorship, mamatva. But at the same time, not that, okay, fruits are not meant for me, nothing is for me, so, ठीक है, कैसे तो भी कर दूंगा. अरे क्या है, फल तो मेरे लिए नहीं है. Then what Krishna is saying? No, yudhyasva vikatajvara. No, with full enthusiasm, giving up laziness, fight. So duty has to be performed with full enthusiasm, but same time, no attachment to fruits. So as one devotee was saying, that while performing one's duties, one should perform them with full enthusiasm as if the results depend on me. But then after the duty is performed, then leave the results to Krishna. Right. So not that in the beginning only one thinks, oh, Krishna only will do everything. So let Krishna do everything, let him get the fruits, let him enjoy the fruits. Anyway, fruits are not meant for me. So no, that is not allowed. Duty has to be done with full enthusiasm. But at the same time, detached from the fruits. And you can see right from that second and third chapter, and at various places you will find Krishna repeating that. And then, of course, when we come to 9th chapter, then he comes to the topmost platform of Bhakti. But still, there also, 9.27. Hey. After Patram Pushpam, what is the next? Some things you can't forget. Huh? Yat karoshi, yad ashnasi, yad juhoshi, dadasi, yat tapasyasi, kaunteya, tat kurushva, madarpanam. Nothing for yourself. Madarpanam. So you'll find like that throughout the Gita, Krishna emphasizes this point. Why? Because the fruitive mentality is so deep rooted. So deep rooted. The moment one is asked to do something, the immediate question is what? Mujhe kya milega? That is the immediate question. So that governs the activities of conditioned souls. That principle, that fruitive mentality, that governs all the activities of the conditioned souls in this world. And therefore, it's very deep rooted because that is what we have been having since time immemorial. Anadika. This is what we are doing. And therefore, it's very deep rooted. And therefore, Krishna is hammering the point again and again so that that sinks in, at least towards the end of the Gita. No, I need to perform my duty without attachment to the fruits. I think so. I did tell this past time before. Shrutikirti Prabhu tells he was in Australia, and so they were doing good book distribution. A lot of books were being sold. So one day he asked Srila Prabhupada, here so many books are being sold, but we find that there are not many devotees coming to the temple. Why? What should be done? What did Srila Prabhupada say? That's none of your business. Your business is to only follow the instructions of the spiritual master. That's all. You have been told to distribute books, distribute. That's all. How many are coming, how many are not coming, that's not your concern. So, yes, so that's what is expected. And therefore, this mentality is something which definitely needs to be cultivated. And as we were discussing yesterday also, that gradually we need to fine-tune our consciousness to a higher and higher level and not remain stagnant at lower platforms. Srila Prabhupada in a lecture, he gives the example of Raghunath Das Goswami. We all know the pastime of Raghunath Das Goswami. How Raghunath Das Goswami was constantly increasing his renunciation. You know that. How initially he was taking money from that was sent by his father, and he was using that to invite Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and all the sannyasis for prasadam. Then he stopped that. Then what he did? Yes, he started begging at the Simhadwara gate. Then he stopped that. What he thought? This Vaishyavritti, this like prostitute. This man will come, he will give, he will not give. Then what he did? Yes, leftovers from the free prasadam booths. So whatever was leftover, rotten things he was taking. And then finally, yes, the rice rejected by even the cows. That he was. So Srila Prabhupada tells this in one lecture to show that how Raghunath Das Goswami was constantly trying to increase the level of renunciation, the level of his devotional service. So, yes, materially one should be satisfied, but not spiritually. Spiritually, one can always try to improve the quality of his devotional service. And that should be the constant endeavor. How to improve the quality of devotional service. And there's no end to that. So similarly, to try to imbibe these principles of the Shastra should be one's constant endeavor. How can I imbibe these principles that are being told in the Shastra? So that means when the mind impels us with a fruitive mentality, then one has to forcibly try to correct oneself. And say, no, this is not right. That is what is required. And that is why Krishna is repeating this. Otherwise, okay, we'll discuss after reading a few verses. So this is what Krishna is telling. Yes, yajna, dana, tapa need to be performed. That is correct, because it is purifying. But yet, how they should be performed? Yes, without attachment to the fruits. Now, from the next verse, he speaks about the 3 types of renunciation. 7th verse. Okay, just one second. Okay. Now there's nothing more over here for sometimes. 7th verse. Niyatasya tu sannyasa karmano nopapadyate moha tasya parityagas tamasa parikirtitaha. Prescribed duties should never be renounced. If one gives up his prescribed duties because of illusion, such renunciation is said to be in the mode of ignorance. Okay, read this purport.
Work for material satisfaction must be given up, but activities which promote one to spiritual activity, like cooking for the Supreme Lord and offering the food to the Lord, and then accepting the food, are recommended. It is said that a person in the renounced order of life should not cook for himself. Cooking for oneself is prohibited, but cooking for the Supreme Lord is not prohibited. Similarly, a sannyasi may perform a marriage ceremony to help his disciple in the advancement of Krishna consciousness. If one renounces such activities, it is to be understood that he is acting in the mode of darkness.
So, renunciation in the mode of darkness, ignorance means niyatasya tu sannyasa karmana na upapadyate. So one gives up one's prescribed duties, karmana. So he says, no, that should not be done. So if one gives up, then it is due to mohat. So this is renunciation mode of ignorance. So one does not understand the importance of the performance of one's prescribed duties and gives them up. So prescribed duties means what? Yes, varnashram duties. Prescribed duties means varnashram duties. So just like as brahmacharis, we all have a prescribed duties. So what are the prescribed duties of brahmacharis? One of the principal ones is swadhyay. Yes. Narad Muni has told in the 7th canto what? Brahmachari gurukule vasandanto guror hitam. Yes, so guror hitam, performing activities for the pleasure of the guru. So therefore, if one does not recognize the importance of that, he is an illusion. He is in moha. He doesn't understand the importance of performing one's prescribed duties. And he gives them up. Chalta hai, kya hai? So he doesn't understand the importance. And then if one gives them up, then it is due to ignorance. And ignorance will lead to what? More ignorance. That's what happens. We were discussing this point before also. If one acts in Rajogun, Tamogun, it will lead to more Rajogun, Tamogun. That's how it keeps increasing. So therefore, we find that when Srila Prabhupada found that some instructions are not being followed, then sometimes Srila Prabhupada would be very heavy. So some of you may have read in the Leelamrit 1974 Janmashtami. You know what happened? Of course, many things may have happened. But there was one very significant event that took place in Janmashtami of 1974. Or one event was supposed to take place, but it could not take place. Huh? Which one? Correct. Good. So, Krishna Balram temple at Vrindavan was supposed to be inaugurated, deity installation to take place on the Janmashtami of 1974. Srila Prabhupada reached there 2 to 3 weeks before, and he found it was a construction site. Nothing was ready. And already invitations had gone out to all devotees throughout the world and so many people. Just imagine, this is such a historical event in Gaudiya Vaishnavism. Temple at Vrindavan, such a prominent, important place. And Srila Prabhupada personally invited so many people. And here, nothing is ready. So then, Srila Prabhupada took on the mood of Lord Nrsimhadev. And so Satsvarup Maharaj writes, normally devotees would think themselves to be very fortunate to get Prabhupada's association. But at that time, they thought themselves fortunate if they could keep a distance. Because Srila Prabhupada was so angry. And Srila Prabhupada was severely chastising the managers at that time were Gurudas Prabhu and Yamuna Mataji, and Surabhi Prabhu was the architect. So Prabhupada was heavily chastising them. Yamuna Mataji went into hiding somewhere. And Srila Prabhupada said, where is Yamuna? So some devotee said, she's afraid to come. Prabhupada said, just as Balaram took his plow and dragged Yamuna, I will also drag Yamuna. So, Srila Prabhupada, when he saw that prescribed duties have not been performed, very upset. There's this other pastime of Satsvarup Maharaj. You know this pastime? So, he sent a letter, I suppose it was to Brahmanand Prabhu, and the letter said that there's an attachment. And Brahmanand Prabhu, after receiving the letter, he wrote back to Srila Prabhupada, the letter says there's an attachment, but there's no attachment. So Srila Prabhupada called Satsvarup Maharaj and he said, what nonsense is this? You say you have sent an attachment and there is no attachment? Prabhupada was so heavy, you know. And if Prabhupada wants to be heavy, he can use very heavy language. Dull-headed fool. So much so that Satsarup Maharaj was literally in tears. Prabhupada was so heavily chastising. Why didn't you? And he was trying to sort of justify. And more he tried to justify, Prabhupada was getting more angry. And finally, Satsarup Maharaj said, Srila Prabhupada, I will send another letter with the attachment. Then Srila Prabhupada calmed down. Proper solution was given. So this is the point. Why? Because if prescribed duties are not done out of ignorance, not knowing the importance, one disrespects the instructions of the spiritual master, does not follow them, not understanding importance, what will happen? One will continue to remain in ignorance. Then where is the scope for getting out of material existence? No scope. Therefore, Prabhupada keeps repeating that point in his purports. The only hope is to come out of this material entanglement. The only hope is to follow the instructions of the spiritual master. There's no other solution to that. So therefore, if one very lightly gives them up, then it will only increase the ignorance. Okay, so that is renunciation in the mode of ignorance. One renounces prescribed duties. So it can apply to anything. So grihasthas can act irresponsibly. They can give up their grihastha duties out of ignorance, not knowing their importance, taking care of family, children, or other professional duties. So all duties, whatever one is supposed to perform, one should perform them properly. Whatever be one's duties, whatever duties are assigned. So just like there was one company where quite a few devotees would work. Quite a few years back. I don't think so that exists now. But so many devotees who wanted jobs. So this devotee who was running that company would mercifully give them jobs. And our devotees, they would think that, Arey, boss kaun hai? Hamara Bhakti. So devotees would, of course, devotees, they get up early in the morning for their sadhana and all that. And so the devotees thought the office time is a good time to take some rest. मालिक कौन है हमारा भक्ति है क्या चलता है So that's how these devotees were acting. So they would go to the office and peacefully take rest, not doing their assigned duties. And but then that man has to get his job done. He has to get the work done. Now for that devotee boss, he is in a big dilemma because these are devotees. Now he has a big fear. If I chastise them, maybe it'll be aparadh. So then what he can do? He came and complained to Radha Shambhu. This is what devotees are doing. So, so the point is that this is not what is expected. Any duty that is assigned, One has to take it up seriously. One has to do it nicely. One can't just give up out of ignorance, illusion, not understanding the importance. So actually, the same point. So even if that is, see, ultimately for a devotee, everything is related to devotional service. So he's doing his job. That is also devotional service, right, for the devotee. So if there he acts irresponsibly out of illusion, then what will happen? He may, the devotee may think, अरे ये क्या, ये मेरा job ही है. यहाँ थोड़ा irresponsibly करेंगे तो क्या है, ये तो directly भगवान के लिए नहीं है. So what is the problem if I act irresponsibly here? But what do you think will happen? Yes, because what happens is the moha will increase. Somebody is acting in tamogun, the tamas will increase, then tamas will influence all the activities of the person. Then the tamas will influence the devotional activities also. Therefore, we find Bhaktivinoda Thakur, what was his standard? Was he performing his magistrate duties irresponsibly? Such high class responsibility, even as magistrate duty. So much British were impressed. High efficiency, even as magistrate duties. That is the standard of devotee. So devotee means everything he performs in a very responsible way. Because that is the meaning of sattva. Sattva means what? Duty, responsibility. Duties assigned means full responsibility. So actually, that is the way duty needs to be performed. Once duty is announced, is given, assigned, then the one who gives duty should have 100% faith that I don't have to bother. Now, this duty has been given to this person, 100% it will be done. That should be the standard. That is how one pleases Guru and Krishna. That should be the standard. And so therefore, if one acts in tamas, irresponsibility, illusion, procrastination, you remember in 14th chapter, Krishna says, Dirgha Sutri, procrastination. What can be done today? One will do in 2 years. So, all these are signs of tamogun. Okay. 5th verse. Yajna dana tapa karma. No, where are we? Sorry. 8th verse. Dukkam yatteva yat karma kaya klesha bhayatyajet sakritva rajasam tyagam naiva tyaga phalam labhet. Anyone who gives up prescribed duties as troublesome or out of fear of bodily discomfort is said to have renounced in the mode of passion. Such action never leads to the elevation of renunciation. Purport?
One who is in Krishna consciousness should not give up earning money out of fear that he is performing fruitive activities. If by working one can engage his money in Krishna consciousness, or if by rising early in the morning one can advance his transcendental Krishna consciousness, one should not desist out of fear or because such activities are considered troublesome. Such renunciation is in the mode of passion. The result of passionate work is always miserable. If a person renounces work in that spirit, he never gets the result of renunciation.
So, renunciation in the mode of passion is what? Dukkam iti eva yat karma kaya klesha bhayat. Sharir ko taklif. Kaya klesha bhayat. So because there is trouble to the body, therefore one gives up the work. Because mode of passion means what? What will I get? That is the symptom of Rajogun. What will I get? What will I not get? So the center of Rajasic activities is always I. So therefore, if something is troublesome to me, give it up. If something is favorable to me, accept. So everything is based on what I like and what I don't like. So this is basically the principle of Rajogun. Rajogun is all based on my likes and dislikes. That is what Rajogun is based on. So, Kaya Klesha Bhayat. If I think, अभी मेरे शरीर के लिए कुछ तकलीफ होगा, give it up. That is Rajogun. सुबह उठना तकलीफ है. So what to do? Give up. कुछ सेवा दिया गया, आसानी से होगा तो ठीक है, करूंगा, नहीं तो तकलीफ है, give it up. So this is the Rajasic platform. So if one gives up one's duties just because it is troublesome to the body, that is the Rajasic platform. Just like His Holiness Giraj Maharaj writes in his book, well-known story, Juhu story. So we know how the Juhu land was a source of so much of trouble. Simply trouble, nothing else, only trouble. So much trouble to so many devotees. And so finally, Tamal Krishna Maharaj, Shyam Sundar Prabhu, what they did? Yes. When Srila Prabhupada was away in Ahmedabad, they thought, right time. And they justified it. That's how Maya works. They justified it, saying that Srila Prabhupada is an old person, he doesn't know all these things. So unnecessarily taking so much trouble. And that which Srila Prabhupada acquired with so much difficulty, in a moment, they cancelled. Even though Srila Prabhupada was in Ahmedabad, but somehow, Prabhupada was very sharp. Somehow he, by indication of Paramatma or whatever, he got a doubt. He got a doubt that most probably these people are likely to cancel. And he sent Vishaka Mataji from there to tell these people, don't cancel at any cost. She tried to convince them. They didn't care for her words. And they went ahead with the cancellation. And then I think it was Shyam Sundar Prabhu who called up Srila Prabhupada to tell what they did on the phone. And then as soon as Srila Prabhupada heard the deal is cancelled, Prabhupada didn't speak one word. He just put the phone down. Nothing else. He was so upset. Kaya klesha bhayat. Giving up one's duties because of fear of trouble to the body. And then, of course, Srila Prabhupada made Tamal Krishna Maharaj go through a rigorous atonement. One is to go to the government offices and lawyers and settle the whole thing. That was one. And second was, any guest would come, Srila Prabhupada would call Tamal Krishna Maharaj and say, see, this boy, he cancelled the deal. Now we are laughing, but for Tamal Krishna Maharaj, it was no joke. Such humiliation. For 1 year, Prabhupada made him go through that. That was atonement for the big mistake. He made him go through that. Now, Tamal Krishna Maharaj could have said, अब ये भी तकलीफ है. Going through this another trouble. Then what? Okay, then go away. Then that will be what? There will be more trouble. Already one offense has been committed. Now, if he whimsically goes away, that will be another offense. That will be even more trouble. So he thought, better to go through it and get purified of the offense. So he tolerated that. So the point is, just because something is troublesome, one can't just give it up. That is said to be Rajasic. So if we are looking for, as we were discussing yesterday also, if we are just looking for a peaceful life in Krishna consciousness, then that will be a source of trouble. Because the material world is never going to allow one to be in peace. So the principle applies for everyone. So in the brahmachari ashram, if one thinks that yahan shanti chahiye, no trouble, jo marzi wahi karunga. I'll get up whenever I want. I will do whatever I want. And if one thinks, and if the authorities persist, no, you can't do like this. You have to do like this. And if one can't adjust and change and go through that austerity of the brahmachari ashram. So as we just said, Narad Muni is saying, brahmachari ashram means what? Guru Ritham. And we know in the Vedic times what was the standard Narad Muni is describing. To give one example, Narad Muni is telling that if the Guru does not call the student for prasadam, he can't take. He can't go and take. Prabhupada is, in lectures also Prabhupada is explaining. Prabhupada says not that, oh, the food is lying over there, I'll go and take. No. If the Guru does not tell, he can't take. And we know that story of that Upamanyu. You know the story of Upamanyu. So that was the standard of brahmacharya. So strict. So Srila Prabhupada is saying, and Prabhupada is giving a lecture in Vrindavan. Prabhupada is saying, so he's speaking on this verse, Tapo Divyam Putragani. So he's saying the tapasya, for those who are staying in the temple, the tapasya is to rise early in the morning for Manglarti. Not that every day we have to ring bell, dong, 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 dong. Prabhupada is saying. No, one should rise. So this is tapasya in the brahmachari ashram. So to simply act according to the desires of the Guru. And sometimes if the disciple is trying to trick the Guru to avoid following the instruction, then the Guru will trick the disciple. Gaurang Prabhu tells this pastime. You have heard. There was that devotee, Grahastha devotee. And so Srila Prabhupada wanted him to become temple president. Heard that, no? Ah. Ah. Hmm. So he made his full plan what to tell Srila Prabhupada so that he need not follow that instruction. Hmm. And then next day he went to meet. Srila Prabhupada started on a higher note. Hmm. Direct sannyas. Hmm. And then he started giving so many reasons. Oh, I recently married, I got a child, this, that. Prabhupada was saying, no, Krishna will take care of the child. Hmm. And uh, then at least become temple president. Then he had no option. Hmm. So the point is that one can't give up. One can't just give up just because it is troublesome. One can't give up. So then if one gives up and one thinks, अरे ये आश्रम में ये लोग जो बताते वो करना पड़ता है नहीं तो क्या ये सर पर बैठते हैं. हाँ. तो ठीक है फिर क्या करूंगा ग्रस्त बन जाऊंगा फिर क्या है आराम है हाँ, जो चाहे वो करूंगा जो खाना है वो खाऊंगा सब. This is what one imagines like that, right? That is what one imagines. But it doesn't take too long before he realizes. Huh? So if one thinks the temple authorities are problem, there's one authority
who is 9 times sick and he's having long hairs.
right. That person will make the life 100% miserable with no options left. I remember going to one Grahastha's house and so that time Bhakti Bhagat Maharaj was there. So both of us were, Maharaj was staying at that devotee's place and then both of us were scheduled to travel from there. And so so the man was helping pack Maharaj's bags. And first the bag was down and the man was packing. And then his wife came and said, Arey, why you kept the bag down? Keep it on the table and do the packing. So he kept the bag on the table. So after she went, I said, see, it's much more convenient to keep the bag down and do the packing than on the table. Because it was quite inconvenient actually. So the man said, see, I don't ask questions. I just follow. That makes my life peaceful. Hmm. This is fact. This is fact. Hmm. This is realization. No, the person is speaking out of experience. Huh? So, otherwise, if one can't tolerate that, then there's only one option. What? Then vanaprastha. Hmm. So, the point is that if one is simply renouncing due to avoiding trouble, that is never going to happen. Trouble will be there everywhere. One can't avoid the trouble. Huh? So if one renounces just to avoid trouble, if one renounces some duty, what one will get? Exactly. More trouble. Because that principle Krishna has told in the 14th chapter. What is that? Rajasastu phalam dukkam. This we should always remember, huh? This sutra. Rajasastu phalam dukkam. That's exactly the same thing Prabhupada is writing here, right? Here in this purport. What he said? Yes, the result of passionate work is always miserable. If one renounces because of this reason, kaya klesha bhayat, because of there'll be some trouble. If one renounces because of that, the only result is more trouble. On the other hand, if one tolerates little bit of trouble, and it's a fact. So, if one tolerates little trouble in the brahmachari ashram, one can actually be saved from so much trouble. So much trouble. Huh? Especially these days, for grihasthas, it's no joke. Just getting an apartment and paying bills. And then what to speak of maintaining wife and children? Huh? It's very tough for most people. And then practicing Krishna conscious sadhana becomes such a challenge. Just chanting 16 rounds becomes so difficult for so many grihasthas. No. Why manage? Just finished. Somehow finished. That's all. Uh-huh. You know, you they can't have this opulence of nicely sitting for 2 hours and peacefully chanting. Wife will say something, child will say something. So many distractions. But little bit, if one is ready to tolerate and just follow the instructions of temple authorities, which are not too much. If one just agrees for that, one can peacefully live in the brahmachari ashram, and so much trouble can be saved. But if one thinks, no, this is too much trouble, let me renounce. Okay, renounce. And then see how much more trouble. And then if one carries that same mentality that I don't want to take trouble, then grihastha ashram is so much trouble. Huh? Then what one will have to do? One will have to take divorce. Huh? And do what? Then one will be nowhere. Then it will be materialistic life. That's all. And material nature will be kicking. That's all. So much trouble. And we see so many examples like that, unfortunately. So therefore, this is not the type of renunciation that is expected, just because there is trouble to the body. Okay, and then finally he speaks about renunciation and goodness. Karyam ityeva yat karma niyatam kriyate arjuna sangam tyaktva phalam chaiva satyaga satviko mataha. O Arjuna, when one performs this prescribed duty only because it ought to be done and renounces all material association and all attachment to the fruit, his renunciation is said to be in the mode of goodness. So you see this, goodness means the same characteristics. Karyam iti eva yat karma. Karyam means duty. And then sangam tyaktva phalam, detachment from the fruits. These are the constant characteristics of sattvagun. Okay, read this purport.
Prescribed duty must be performed with this mentality. One should act without attachment for the result. He should be dissociated from the modes of work. A man working in Krishna consciousness in a factory does not associate himself with the work of the factory nor with the workers of the factory. He simply works for Krishna. And when he gives up the result for Krishna, he is acting transcendentally.
Yes. Okay, we'll just, 3 more verses are remaining for this section, so we'll just finish it off before we take the break. Na dveshti akushalam karma kushale nanushajjate tyagi sattva samavishto medhavi chinna samshayaha. The intelligent renouncer situated in the mode of goodness, neither hateful of inauspicious work nor attached to auspicious work, has no doubts about work. Okay, so one who's in goodness, here inauspicious and auspicious means what? That which gives trouble. Right? Prabhupada is clarifying that in the purport. A person in Krishna consciousness, the mode of goodness, does not hate anyone or anything which troubles his body. He does not work in the proper place and at the proper time without, he does work in the proper place and at the proper time without fearing the troublesome effects of his duty. Okay, so that is the meaning of kushalam and akushalam. What gives trouble to the body? So even if something is troublesome to the body, na dveshti, it does not mean he hates. He hates the service. Arey, kya seva hai? Itna taklif hai. No. Na dveshti, he doesn't hate it just because it is troublesome. And we have discussed so many times how much Srila Prabhupada went through to fulfill the instruction of his spiritual master. What was that trouble that Srila Prabhupada went through at that age? There was no hate. He was always trying his best to fulfill that instruction to his spiritual master. So that is mode of goodness. This is my duty, whether it is troublesome, not troublesome, I'll try to do it. And such a person situated in transcendence should be understood most intelligent and beyond all doubt in his activities. 11. Nahi deha brita shakyam tyaktum karmanya sheshatah yastu karma phalatyagi satyagitya vidiyate. It is indeed impossible for an embodied being to give up all activities. But he who renounces the fruits of action is called one who has truly renounced. Purport?
It is said in Bhagavad Gita that one can never give up work at any time. Therefore, he who works for Krishna and does not enjoy the fruitive results, who offers everything to Krishna, is actually a renouncer. There are many members of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness who work very hard in their office or in the factory or some other place, and wherever they earn, whatever they earn, they give to the society. Such highly elevated souls are actually sannyasis and are situated in the renounced order of life. It is clearly outlined here how to renounce the fruits of work and for what purpose fruits should be renounced.
So activity cannot be renounced. Which is the verse? 3.5. Nahi kasyat shanamapi jatu tishtatya karma krit karyate avashya karma sarva prakriti jair gunai. One can never renounce the activity, the work, because the modes will force the person to do the work. Work cannot be renounced. But what can be renounced? The fruits. Karma phala tyagi. So Srila Prabhupada is giving example of some of the devotees, especially in the early days, there were these devotees who took up jobs just to maintain the temple in San Francisco. Like Jayanand Prabhu, he was engineer. He was practically the first, I suppose, the first engineer of the Krishna consciousness movement. And after that, so many came. But then still what he was doing? He was driving a taxi. Morning to night, he was driving, and the entire amount he would give to Srila Prabhupada. And similarly, there was Gurudas Prabhu, and also His Holiness Gopal Krishna Maharaj, Tamal Krishna Maharaj. So they all took up jobs in different places and gave all the money to Prabhupada. And then later on, of course, they started getting donations and then they stopped. But then, even though at that point of time they were not sannyasis, but they were as good as sannyasis because no attachment, just fully surrendered. Now, what will be the result of these different types of renunciation? 12th verse. Anishtam ishtam mishram cha trividam karmana phalam bhavatyatyāginam pretya na tu sannyasinam kvachit. For one who is not renounced, the threefold fruits of action, desirable, undesirable, and mixed, accrue after death. But those who are in the renounced order of life have no such result to suffer or enjoy. Okay, so anishtam is hell, ishtam is heaven, mishram is mixed, that is on the earthly planet or somewhere. So that is what will happen to those who are not renounced. Then they will have to remain in the material world, wherever, depending upon their activities. But he says that will not happen to those who have renounced the fruits of their actions. As Prabhupada writes, a person in Krishna consciousness acting in knowledge of his relationship with Krishna is always liberated. Therefore, he does not have to enjoy or suffer the results of his acts after death. So that is akarma. So therefore, there's no reaction to his work. So in this way, the Lord has revised the subject matter of, yes, karma yoga, nishkam karma yoga, where one performs one's duties without attachment to the fruits. If one has some questions, we'll take after the break. Then Hare Krishna.
हरिबोल हरिबोल, सब लोग टाइम पे आते जाइए। आज मतलब आज स्पेशली महाराष्ट्र का क्लास हुआ तो उसके कारण सब लोग का प्रसाद वगैरह भी लेट हुआ, वो भी एक रीज़न है। बट एक्चुअली रोज प्रभु जी आते हैं टाइम पे और मैं अरेंजमेंट करता हूँ, इसलिए मैं टाइम पे रहता हूँ। हार्डली एक हाथ दो डिवोटीज टाइम पे आते हैं, डॉट 10:45 या 10:30 जब रहता था टाइम। तो प्लीज़ सबसे ये रिक्वेस्ट है कि एटलीस्ट मिनिमम 10:42 तक आइए एटलीस्ट। और मतलब इन सम केसेस इफ देर आर सम जेन्युइन कंसर्न्स दे कैन ऑलवेज मैसेज मी, जिसके कारण अगर कोई लेट हो रहा है तो कोई वॉशरूम गया है या फिर किसी का सेवा है, जैसे अशोक प्रो का किचन वगैरह में होता है, तो ऐसा कुछ केसेस में तो जेन्युइन कंसर्न से तो प्लीज़ इन्फॉर्म कर सकते हैं।
Okay. All right. Okay, so we'll go to the next section from 13 to 18, that is Jnana Yoga. Hmm. So now in this section, the Lord is analyzing karma from the viewpoint of Gyan. So he's analyzing karma and analytical understanding of karma. That is what he's doing in this section. 13. Panchaitani mahabaho karanani nibodame sankhye krutante proktani siddhaye sarva karmanam. Sorry, does anyone have any questions on the previous section? Yes.
So the definition which Krishna gave about Tyag and Sannyas, so does that stand true still for us? We can quote that, or we can learn from that, or just keep it aside.
Okay, good question. So now, initially, Krishna quoted other authorities and defined what is sannyas and what is tyag. But then did he give his own definition of what is sannyas and tyag? Did he give or no? So tyaga, what he said? He said yajna dana tapa has to be done without attachment to fruits. Renunciation of fruit is called tyaga. Okay, that is, okay, prescribed duty should never be renounced. Okay, gave three types of tyag. But did he define what is sannyas and tyag specifically in this discussion? He didn't define. Why? He gave others' opinion he gave initially. But then he himself never defined. He only said, now I'll speak about tyag, and then he spoke about three types of tyag. But he never defined. He never showed what is difference between sannyas and tyag. That was Arjuna's original question. Na? What is the difference between sannyas and tyag was Arjuna's original question. But did he give an answer to that? How? Where?
He said tyag is clearly mentioned that he should not do any renunciation. As such, renunciation of prescribed duties should never be done. So, in one sense, difference in between which is greater, which is Arjuna's original question.
No, Arjuna's what is the difference?
Yes.
So what is the difference he told?
Krishna did not say his own opinion, means he just quoted the previous authorities and he just added further classifications on his that can be done. So in short, that he is not also directly cancelling the previous one, the authorities in that sense.
Okay. So you see, you see the 7th verse. Niyatasya tu sannyasa karmano nopapadyate moha tasya parityagas tamasa parikirtita. So you will see in this discussion, Krishna uses the word sannyas and tyag interchangeably. Because actually, both are very much interdependent. Tyag means what? Giving up the fruits of activities, correct? Not being attached to the fruits of activities. If one is attached to the fruits of one's activities, can one be a sannyasi? Because the basic understanding of sannyas is to give up kamya karma, correct? Quoting previous authorities. Means what? Giving up the enjoying mentality. Kamya karma means what? Enjoying mentality. So, what does one enjoy? Fruits. So, if one actually wants to give up the enjoying mentality, what one needs to give up? Fruits. So, therefore, there cannot be sannyas without tyag. And therefore, Krishna did not specially define both of them because they are very much interdependent. And Krishna sort of uses both the words interchangeably in his discussion. And that's why he did not define either of them very specifically because both are very much interdependent. Okay. Any other question on that section?
Hare Krishna. In Tyag, it was mentioned that one can perform even Kamya Karma but without having the desire for fruits. But then one performs Kamya Karma just for fruits only, right? In the commentary which was given in the slides previously.
Therefore, in Tyag, one should perform all Kamya Karmas and Nitya Karmas without seeking results. How can one perform Kamya Karma without seeking result, right?
Yes.
I mean, the only way we could understand this is that, okay, just like one performs some karma kanda sacrifice, and then one is not attached to the fruits. One performs the sacrifice. He may desire the fruits, but he's not attached to it. Something like that. I know it's difficult.
Nishkama Karma Yoga also is same, no, Prabhuji? In Nishkama Karma Yoga also people do prescribed duties.
No, but their prescribed duties are referring to Varnashram duties.
Varnashram duties also, when they do Varnashram duties, they have some kind of desire. Let's say Varnashram Dharma of, I'm not talking about maybe renounced order of life in Varnashram Dharma. I'm talking about maybe Grihasthas in Varnashram Dharma. When they perform their prescribed duties in Grihasthashram, so that prescribed duty may include, let's say, someone is doing some karma, like maybe some samskar of some garbhodhan, some samskar they're doing. So the basic idea of their performing that samskar or that karma means they are expecting to have a good child. That is the basis of doing that karma, which is expecting a good child, which also is one sense is desire only, no?
Yes, that is true. So yes, so one can one can perform that as a duty and yet be detached from the results. One can perform, yes, like that Garbhadan Sanskar, you can give an example, or any of these Karmakanda sacrifices. So one has a desire for some fruit, but at the same time, one is not attached to it. So that is the way we can explain this. Though it is not so easy, because obviously one will be attached to the fruit. So, therefore, if one actually is, a sannyasi or a tyagi, one basically cannot be attached to the fruits, basically. So one may perform these sacrifices or any of this yajna, dana, tapa, one may perform, but then without attachment to the fruits. So the kama karma is also like that. So kama karma is also, because he's referring to karma kanda sacrifices, so then they are also sort of yajna, right? So one can perform yajna, but without attachment to the fruits, leaving the fruits to the Supreme. That's
Because sannyas is specifically, I'm just I'm able to I'm trying to understand it. The sannyas is specific to that renounced order of life. Tyag is something which is generic to all four ashrams, maybe in that sense.
No, here sannyas is not reference to the renounced order. Here, sannyas is giving up the enjoying mentality, the kamya karmas, enjoying mentality is given up. Therefore, Prabhupada is saying na, that even if somebody is working, but still if he is not attached to the fruits, he is as good as a sannyasi.
Because either in translation, Prabhupada writes the renounced order of life. Renounced order of
Where?
first verse, 18th chapter. But what is the I wish to understand the purpose of renunciation, tyaga, and of the renounced order of life, sannyasa.
Okay, that's also correct. That's also correct. Sannyas, obviously, sannyas is a part of the renounced order also. That is the essential quality of the renounced order. But then again, we read in the purport to the 11th verse. There are many members of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness who work very hard in their office. Whatever they earn, they give to society. Such highly elevated souls are actually sannyasis. So you see, so here in this case, what the sannyasi means, he's not attached to the fruits. He gives up the fruits. So therefore, this tyag and sannyas are very much interchangeable. Okay, fine. Let's go to the next section. 13th verse. Panchaitani mahabaho karanani nibodh me sankhye kritante proktani siddhaye sarva karmanam. O mighty armed Arjuna, according to the Vedanta, there are 5 causes for the accomplishment of all action. Now learn of these from me. Okay. A question may be raised that since any activity performed must have some reaction, how is it that the person in Krishna consciousness does not suffer or enjoy the reactions of work? The Lord is citing Vedanta philosophy to show how this is possible. And then he says that there are 5 causes for all activities. Okay, so what are these 5 causes? Next verse. Adhishtanam tata karta karanam cha pritagvidham vividascha pritag cheshta devam chaivatra panchamam. The place of action, the body, that is the adhishtanam. Then next is karta, the performer. Then karanam, the various senses. And the next is pritag cheshta, the endeavors, many different kinds of endeavors, vividha cha pritak cheshta, and ultimately daivam, the super soul. These are the 5 factors of action. Okay, read the purport.
The word adhishtanam refers to the body. The soul within the body is acting to bring about the results of activity and is therefore known as karta, the doer. That the soul is the knower and the doer is stated in the Shruti. Esha hi drashta srashta. Prashna Upanishad 4.9. It is also confirmed in the Vedanta Sutra by the verses Jnota Eva 2.3.18 and Karta Sastrartha Vattatvam 2.3.33. The instruments of action are the senses, and by the senses, the soul acts in various ways. For each and every action, there is a different endeavor, but all one's activities depend on the will of the super soul, who is seated within the heart as a friend. The Supreme Lord is the super cause. Under these circumstances, he who is acting in Krishna consciousness under the direction of the super soul, situated within the heart, is naturally not bound by any activity. Those in complete Krishna consciousness are not ultimately responsible for their actions. Everything is dependent on the supreme will, the super soul, the supreme personality of Godhead.
Okay, so these are the 5 factors of action. So the place of the body, the action is performed with the body, and then the soul is the actual doer. How? Soul doesn't do anything, no? Yes, soul desires. Soul desires, then what happens? Super soul understands the desire, and then it is performed through Prakriti, the material nature. So that's how the whole thing works. So then the activity is performed with the various senses. So that is Karanam. And then so many endeavors have to be done to perform the activity. But the whole thing has to be sanctioned by the super soul. So the desire may be there, the senses may be in proper order to work, everything may be perfect. But if the green signal from the super soul does not come, nothing can happen. One cannot do anything. So one is totally dependent. 15. Now he talks about different types of actions. Shariravan manobhiryat karma prarabdhe naraha nyayam va viparitam va pancheta tasya hetava. Whatever right or wrong action a man performs by body, mind, or speech is caused by these 5 factors. Okay, so whether one wants to perform right action or wrong action, nyayam viparitam, nyayam va viparitam. So whatever action one wants to perform, all these 5 factors come into play. So the right action could be with sharir, van, mana. Similarly, wrong action can also be with sharir, van, mana. So that is how right and wrong action performed either with body, mind, or words. So whatever it may be, right or wrong, with either body, mind, or words, all the 5 factors come into play. So then a question could be asked, then does Krishna give sanction for wrong activity also? Huh? Yes. So when the jiva is adamant, no, I want to do it, then Krishna says, do it, but
at your own risk.
Own risk. भुगतना पड़ेगा फिर जो भी परिणाम है. So therefore, Prabhupada is, so what is the definition of right and wrong? Prabhupada is defining. Right work is work done in terms of prescribed direction scriptures. Wrong work is work done against the principles of scripture injunctions. But whatever is done requires these 5 factors for its complete performance. 16. Tatraivam sati kartaram atmanam kevalam tu yaha pashyatya krita buddhitvan na sa pashyati durmati. Therefore, one who thinks himself the only doer, not considering the 5 factors, is certainly not very intelligent and cannot see things as they are. So this is very similar to which verse? Yes. Prakriti kriyamanani gune karmani sarvasha ahankara vimudatma karta aham iti manyate. So similarly here also he is saying that one who does not see these 5 factors, pashyati, if he does not see nasa pashyati, then he is durmati. Durmati. He is foolish and he is akrita buddhitvat, less intelligence. So, if the person thinks kartaram atmanam kevalam, if he thinks I am the only doer, I do everything by myself, no one else is responsible. So one who thinks like that is considered to be less intelligent. So a foolish person cannot understand that super soul is sitting as a friend within and conducting his actions. Although material causes are the place, worker, endeavor, and the senses, the final cause is the Supreme, the personality of Godhead. Therefore, one should see not only the 4 material causes, but the supreme efficient cause as well. One who does not see the Supreme thinks himself to be the doer. 17. Yeah. Here, of course, here what is referred to is the soul in material contamination. His consciousness is contaminated. So therefore, it's still referred to as a material cause. Contaminated consciousness. 17. Yasya nahankrito bhavo buddhir yasya na lipyate hatmapi sa ima lokan na hanti na nibhadyate. One who is not motivated by false ego, whose intelligence is not entangled, though he kills men in this world, does not kill, nor is he bound by his actions. This is an important verse. Please read the purport.
In this verse, the Lord informs Arjuna that the desire not to fight arises from false ego. Arjuna thought himself to be the doer of action, but he did not consider the supreme sanction within and without. If one does not know that a super sanction is there, why should he act? But one who knows the instruments of work, himself as the worker and the Supreme Lord as the supreme sanctioner, is perfect in doing everything. Such a person is never in illusion. Personal activity and responsibility arise from false ego and godlessness or a lack of Krishna consciousness. Anyone who is acting in Krishna consciousness under the direction of the super soul or the supreme personality of Godhead, even though killing does not kill, nor is he ever affected by the reaction of such killing. When a soldier kills under the command of a superior officer, he is not subject to be judged. But if a soldier kills on his own personal account, then he is certainly judged by a court of law.
Okay, Prabhupada gives this example so many times. So see, what is the cause of bondage? The cause of bondage is this ahankar. Yasya na ahankrito bhavo. When one does not have that ahankar, that I am the doer, then na nibadyate, then is not bound. When one does not have the ahankar that I am the doer, then he is not responsible for his actions. 3 examples are given in this connection. One is a small child. So just like a small child, so many times in our programs also, we see there are small children and the lecture is going on and all of a sudden in between the child, he cries. How many take it seriously? Does somebody go and chastise the child? Hey, kya hai ye? No, it. Sometimes a child may even pass stool and urine in places where he should not do so. Correct? How many take it seriously? Nobody takes it seriously. Why? He doesn't have the ahankar that I am doing this activity. उसको पता ही नहीं वो क्या कर रहा है. Correct? He doesn't have that ahankar. He doesn't think, see, I'm going to go and spoil this place, therefore I'll go and pass some urine over there. He doesn't have that ahankar. He doesn't think that I am doing this activity with a specific purpose. No. Just imagine if an adult in the middle of a class starts screaming like that. लोग क्या बोलेंगे? क्या पागल? They will go and hit him. ये क्या है? So why? Why the man is responsible for his action? Because he has that ahankar that I am the doer. He knows I'm doing this for a specific purpose. This is one example. Second example is insane man. Srila Prabhupada's famous example, Prabhupada tells about how in Calcutta there was one man who did murder and then he pleaded before the judge that he was not in proper mental condition when he did the murder. They called the doctor and the doctor said, yes, he was not in proper mental condition, slightly mad. But in my opinion, everyone in this world is a little insane. Prabhupada quotes this very often. Many lectures also Prabhupada quotes this to show that how Nunam pramatta, everyone is mad. But the point is that why the madman is excused for the murder? Because he didn't do it with that ahankar, that I am doing this for a particular purpose. उसका मन ठीक नहीं था, कुछ तो किया. That ahankar is not there. So then he does not become responsible for it. And the, what was the third example? One more example. Child, of course, the example of soldier is there, but an ordinary example. Child, madman, and not able to repose. Anyway, so the point is that if one does not have that ahankar, that I am the doer, then he is not responsible for his action. The moment he has that ahankar, that I am the doer, then he becomes responsible for his action. So that is the same principle here also, which Krishna is saying. Yasya na ahankrita bhavo buddhir yasya na lipyate. So if there is no ahankar, if he does not perform action with ahankar, then buddhir yasya na lipyate, then his intelligence is not entangled with that doership mentality. Then for such a person, hatva api, even though he is killing, hatva api ima lokan, na hanti, even though he is killing, he does not kill. And therefore, na nibadhyate. Yes, Srila Prabhupada gives one more example. He says that just like a person working for a company, the employee of the company. So the employee of the company, he gets his salary every month. And then sometimes company may make more profit, sometimes may even go at loss, but still the employee continues to get the same salary. He does not become responsible for the profits and losses of the company because he's just doing his duty. That's all. So, in the same way, if one performs activities on behalf of Krishna, then Krishna takes responsibilities for the activity. So, therefore, the important point is that one has to act without that ahankar, that I am the doer. Therefore, one has to simply follow. So, if one simply follows, just like the example of the soldier, he simply follows the instructions of the government, then even though he kills, he is not responsible for it. So, similarly, and that is why the principle of following the previous acharyas becomes so important. So, if one follows Krishna's instructions, that is how the karma becomes a karma. No reaction, no bondage. But the moment one says, I am doing this on my own accord, then I become responsible. The principle applies everywhere. So if I do some activity exactly according to how I am told to do it, then whatever may be the consequence of that, I don't become responsible for it. Correct? So, just like there's that pastime of how devotees had organized one program for Srila Prabhupada early days. They had rented a big hall, but then very few people came. What did Srila Prabhupada say? It doesn't matter. You tried your best, no problem. Anyway, there were many demigods sitting. So, Prabhupada didn't take it seriously because, well, the devotees tried their best. People did not come. What can be done? So, that is how, if one simply performs activities which are told, one is not having that ahankar. The ahankar one has surrendered to Krishna. I am now the doer. Who is the doer? Krishna is the doer. I am only instrument. That's what Krishna told Arjuna. What? What he told? Nimitta matram bhava savyasachi. Simply become nimitta. Then you are not responsible for your killing. You won't be responsible. Mhm. And we see this. Practically also we see this. Mhm. So if we perform a service exactly according to instructions given by superior, even if there is some problem in that service, then we can easily go back to the superior and say that, see, I've tried my best to do the service. There's a problem. Please help. Then he is obliged to help, right? Why? Because he has given the service. But if I do things independently, and then after doing things independently, if there is some problem, then I go to my superior and say, see, there is some problem. What will the superior say? He will say, अरे खुद के मन से किया, अभी प्रॉब्लम है तो figure it out yourself. Then one does not get superior help. Then one becomes responsible for everything that happens. Very important Siddhanta. Therefore, if one surrenders to Krishna and acts exactly according to what Krishna wants and Krishna desires, then as Srila Prabhupada says, then one can sleep peacefully like a small child sleeping on the lap of the mother. Prabhupada has given this example. You see 12.6 and 7. In that purport, Srila Prabhupada has given that example. That's a fact. Okay. So that is what Krishna is telling. So Arjuna's question here is what? Arjuna's question is, if I act according to your instructions, how will I be free from reaction? That is Arjuna's question here. Because Krishna wants Arjuna to fight. And what Arjuna is thinking? Arjuna is thinking, if I fight, that will be bondage. Krishna is saying there will not be bondage. And now Krishna is philosophically explaining to Arjuna how there will not be bondage. That is what he's explaining. So he's saying, yes, you do the work, but without that ahankar that I am the doer, then you will not be responsible for the reactions. Then that responsibility, therefore Prabhupada writes this beautiful statement. Personal activity and responsibility arise from false ego and godlessness or a lack of Krishna consciousness. Beautiful statement. Personal activity and responsibility arise from false ego and godlessness. Then I become totally responsible for my actions. Is this point clear? How karma turns into akarma. That is what is being explained here. How there is no bondage even in performing one's duties. So, the practical understanding is very simple. Just do what you're told to do. Then one can peacefully relax. Of course, even then there could be challenges. But at least one can fall back on those who have given the service to help us with those challenges. Otherwise, if one does things on one's own, then one is on one's own through all the challenges and difficulties. There will not be anyone to help. But because Srila Prabhupada was perfectly following the instructions of his spiritual master, what happened? Gudakesh Prabhu was saying, success at every step. Okay, there were challenges. Heart attacks on the ship. Then what happened? What happened? Krishna came to take charge. All the acharyas came to take charge. Why? Because Srila Prabhupada was simply following the instructions of the Guru Parampara. Therefore, the entire Guru Parampara was behind him to help him because he was simply following their instruction. That is how we attract a mercy far beyond one's own capacity. By agreeing to follow the instructions of the parampara. Otherwise, if I try to do things on my own, then I'm simply working with how much capacity? 1/10,000 tip of the hair. That much capacity. Not much, correct? Then things will be very difficult. Therefore, that famous verse of Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. What is that? Dushkaram Sukaram Bhavet. Without the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, even those things which are ordinarily simple will become very difficult. And by his mercy, even those which are very difficult will become very easy. That is how the mercy will empower one to do things much beyond one's capacity. But for that, one has to agree to simply follow. And many times in the conditioned state, we try to put our own intelligence and try to concoct things and not follow. But then it is always very safe to follow. Then things become much more smooth. Yes, bro.
In case of Yayati Maharaj, when he wants to exchange his old age to and he was asking to his sons. That time, not even his eldest son, he was not agreed for that. So following is just is blind following, or because
Prabhupada has written 4.34 purport, blind following and absurd inquiries are condemned. Not blind following. Now you're asking about Yati Maharaj. He wants to exchange his old age with the youth of his sons. Now, where is that authorized in the first place? He committed a mistake. He got old age. Now he wants to exchange his old age. Is the whole thing dharmic? So therefore, one cannot blindly follow. So suppose if a senior devotee comes and tells you, थोड़ा मंदिर के लिए पैसा चाहिए, वो बैंक चोरी करके आओ थोड़ा, 10 crore लेकर आओ. What you'll say? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'll follow. करेंगे. One can't act blindly. One has to use one's intelligence. ठीक है ना? So therefore, if there is doubt, then one should confirm with other authorities. If one feels that instruction being given to me is totally against principles of dharma, then one should clarify. One should, therefore, Guru, Sadhu, Shastra. One can consult with other sadhus. Okay, 18th verse. Jnanam Neyam Parigyata Trivida Karma Chodana Karanam Karma Karteti Trividha Karma Sangraha. Knowledge, the object of knowledge, and the knower are the three factors that motivate action. The senses, the work, and the doer are the three constants of action. Purport.
Of impetus for daily work. Knowledge, the object of knowledge, and the knower. The instruments of work, the work itself, and the worker are called the constituents of work. Any work done by any human being has these elements. Before one acts, there is some impetus, which is called inspiration. Any solution arrived at before work is actualized in a subtle form of work. Then work takes the form of action. First, one has to undergo the psychological processes of thinking, feeling, and willing, and that is called impetus. The inspiration to work is the same if it comes from the scripture or from the instruction of the spiritual master. When the inspiration is there and the worker is there, then actual activity takes place by the help of the senses, including the mind, which is the center of all the senses. The sum total of all the constituents of an activity are called the accumulation of work.
Okay. So here, Krishna is introducing two terms, karma chodana and karma sangraha. So karma chodana means factors that motivate action or that inspire an action. So what are they? Jnanam, Gneyam, Parigyata. Knowledge, the object of knowledge, and the knower. So Srila Prabhupada is explaining that how before work is performed, there is always an inspiration to perform the work. Correct? Before one acts, there is some impetus which is called inspiration. You can take example of any work. So let's say, so somebody is studying for IIT. So then, before he joins some classes for IIT or whatever, so what does he think? So first of all, there is parigyata. Parigyata is the person, correct? The doer. That is the parigyata or the knower. So then what he inquires? Huh? Okay, so one finds out what is this? So what is this IIT college and what will I have to do and all that. And then he will also find out what is the prayojan. If he joins IIT, what type of job he'll get and all that he'll find out. He'll find out what is the prayojan, what will be the goal. Okay, let's take another example. Somebody wants to buy a laptop. Okay, what does he find out? Okay, so he'll find out, he'll get the knowledge. Knowledge about what? Yes, so the knowledge about the laptop, various features, this, that, he'll get the knowledge. And then on what basis he will finally purchase? Yes, what are his needs? What is the goal? So he'll take into consideration what is his budget, what is his work that he needs to accomplish. So all those things he will take into account. That is the gnayam. That is the gnayam, the goal. Gnayam is the goal. He finds out knowledge. He also finds out the goal, the prayojan. And then he goes ahead buying that. So any work one performs, this is what one does before one actually begins the work, correct? Just like if one wants to build a building, before the building is actually built, what happens? Yes, the blueprint. So the entire building is built in one sense. In what way? Subtle form. First it's built in a subtle form, and then the actual building comes up. Correct? So similarly, all of you have joined the Brahmachari ashram. So before joining, you thought of something, or you just came in? Huh? क्या कुछ सोचा कि नहीं? क्या सोचा? प्रसाद तो कहीं भी मिलेगा. हाँ?
What services we will do after joining the ashram?
And service you'll get anywhere, na? In Grihastha ashram also you'll get a lot of service.
Guruji, we have maximum time for engaging in the service of Guru and Krishna.
So definitely you thought of what will I get, right? You thought of the prayojan. The prayojan. What will be the goal if I join? What will I have to do if I join? You found out or no before joining? What I have to do, what I have to give up, what I'll get. I think so all of you are fully surrendered, huh? Just join. Any case. So, so that gives us the inspiration to perform the activity, the planning that takes place before, that gives one the inspiration to perform the activity. So that is Jnanam, Gneyam, Parigyata, Trivida, Karma, Chodana. And then one performs the actual activity. How one performs the activity? So that is Karma Sangra, the constituents of action. What are they? Karanam, Karma, Karta. So there is the Karta. How does he perform the karma? With the Karanam, that is the senses. So therefore they are called the three constituents of action. So in this way, to perform any activity, all these are required. So similarly, in order to perform devotional activity also, the same thing is required. So when there is the proper inspiration, when the goal is very clear, prayojan is very clear. Why am I performing devotional service? What is the prayojan? How should I do it? So everything should be very clear. Then when one gets the inspiration, then one will be able to perform the activity properly. Therefore, what is very important is goal should be very clear. If the goal is very clear, in the subtle form, goal is very clear. I have only one goal in my practices. What is that? Yes, pleasing Guru and Krishna. That's my only goal. So if that goal is very clear, then one will act accordingly to please Guru and Krishna. Even though sometimes it may be difficult, sometimes it may be easy, but still I will continue because what is my goal? But if that is not the goal, if the goal is only okay to find some comfortable life or outside job, बहुत तकलीफ है यहाँ तो क्या है थोड़ा आराम से हाँ so if that is the goal then one will try to avoid any types of inconvenience as we discussed. What type of renunciation? Yes, renunciation, the mode of passion. Kaya, klesha, bhayat. So then one will go for that type of renunciation, then there'll be even more trouble. So therefore, the goal has to be clear. The goal of performing the activity has to be clear. In the subtle mind, in the subtle body itself, the goal has to be very clear. If the goal is very clear, then accordingly, one will act and then in order to perform that type of action. So in this way, Krishna is analyzing karma from the viewpoint of Gyan. So this is the section on Jnana Yoga. Hare Krishna. Any clarifications? Hmm.
Roji, you shared about that topic where uh, the false ego. If the false ego is removed, if you are performing any action without false ego, then you are not responsible. Similarly, in the outside country, we see, other than India, many people are already in the ignorance. Matlab, they don't know what they're doing. Don't know that they are doing wrong or right. The four regulative principles they don't know. So there, if they are performing, their action will be similar that we are performing, or it will be different.
What do you think? Everyone heard the question?
Ignorance.
Huh?
Ignorance has no excuse, that I heard.
That is only the answer. Ignorance of law is no excuse for the sane man.
They are not sane men.
You may say that, but the law does not say that. The law says they are sane people.
Yeah, in Africa there are peoples like animals only. Matlab, their life.
See, you may say they are like animal, but they are not animal. Who told them to be like animal? Nobody told them to be like animal. They have been given human body, they're supposed to act like human beings. They have been given higher intelligence to act like human beings. If they don't use it properly and act like animals, whose problem is that? Prakriti has given them what? Human body and human intelligence. वो तो है ना. हाँ. फिर वो उसका दुरुपयोग करके वो पशु जैसे जी रहे, वो किसकी समस्या है? हाँ. So that is the problem of the human being. So therefore, they're acting like animals, they're acting like insane, but they are not insane. They've been given human intelligence. So if a doctor comes and certifies that the man is actually insane, then okay, then he's not responsible. But if there is no authorization that the man is insane, then he's sane. And his responsibility is to act like a sane man. ठीक है ना?
Correct. Yes, sir. So you said that both blind following and absurd inquiry is not allowed. Prabhupada said also.
हाँ.
So this one question
No,
came that
Prabhupada said, therefore we are saying.
Prabhupada said. So this one question came up, bro, means for constructing temples, some programs are there like this KBC and
What is
Kaun Banega Crorepati.
Uh-huh.
So can devotees go there and earn money from there if quick it is required?
Ask your authorities.
No, I just want to clarify, bro.
देखो, I don't know what you're talking about in the first place.
No, what I'm telling that if some money is required urgently for saying that for building temple or something like this, so can devotees go to such programs as KBC and earn money from there? Because they are not gambling, they are exercising their
So
knowledge.
that's what I said. I cannot comment on this. So whoever are the authorities, you consult them. I have no other answer.
Generally, we can.
Generally, only we do that.
No.
Generally, only you want to earn money by some way, which doesn't appear to be so straightforward, then consult authorities. Chicken.
Hare Krishna, Guruji. Guruji, in our body, there is soul is there, mind is there, intelligence is there. But we sometimes we don't understand how soul works and mind works and intelligence. So it is difficult sometimes to come to passion to sattva gun. So can you tell how works this function, souls, intelligence, and mind?
No, that you have heard so many times, na? The example of the chariot. सुना है ना? रथ का example. 5 घोड़े कौन है?
Senses.
हाँ, और वो लगाम कौन है?
Mind,
और वो सारथी कौन है?
intelligence.
जो रथ में बैठा है। हो गया ना?
Guruji, soul also have desires. Now just we discussed.
Yes. The only thing the soul can do is to desire. Those desires of the soul are expressed through the mind and the intelligence.
Guruji, soul also have bad desire.
The soul, which has come into this material world, becomes contaminated. The consciousness becomes contaminated. Soul is originally pure. तो वो वही उदाहरण, बारिश का पानी, वो जैसे नीचे आता है दूषित हो जाता है. So similarly, soul is originally pure. When it comes into this material world, the consciousness of the soul becomes contaminated. Contaminated consciousness. That becomes contaminated by the influence of the modes. So then everything is based on that contaminated consciousness, then that type of desires also develop.
Consciousness is contaminated means mind is contaminated.
Yes, because the manifestation of the consciousness takes place through the mind and the intelligence. And then we find all the desires come in the mind. सब इच्छाएं मन में आते हैं ना? So many desires come in the mind, good desires, bad desires. Of course, in the material world, everything is bad. There's nothing good. Why? Why everything is bad?
Matter. Things. Not related to Krishna.
So why everything is bad? I give in charity. That is also bad. I give in charity to the poor man on the street. It is bad. Why it is bad? Any good activity of this material world
It's bad.
is also said to be bad, correct? Why?
The definition of good is
हाँ, उसका मतलब क्या है भद्र भद्र?
So Prabhat quote is very nice. So Dvaita matlab in the world of duality. Bhadra matlab auspicious, abhadra, sakali sama. यही भालो यही मंद सब मनोधर्म. It is a mental speculation.
हाँ, अभी परपोर्ट देना पड़ेगा.
That is my understanding. Since on spiritual level soul is sleeping, so
वो
whatever
भद्र अभद्र क्या है? What is so-called auspicious activity in this world?
punya,
Punya. So
Rupa.
why is that also bad?
Because that also by doing punya also I am staying in material world only. So therefore
That
that
punya also leads to bondage
so
in the
that's
material world.
seven atom comes with that.
So therefore that Bhadra, Bhadra both are manodharma. So therefore both are bad. So what we were discussing? Consciousness. So therefore, only when one comes to Krishna consciousness is something really good. Otherwise, everything is bad. So mind has good desires, bad desires, everything is bad in this material world. Everything is relative because ultimately everything is binding in the material world. Only when one comes in contact with a devotee, one understands what is actually good. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Samved Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. So we'll continue tomorrow with the rest.
CBA is on Friday.
हरे कृष्णा सुधांशु प्रभु आवाज आ रहा है वो चला गया होने देगा आप सॉफ्टवेयर लगा दिए फोन करो